They're probably pretty loud.
Oh, yeah, that's hot.
What?
That's hot.
Yeah.
That's
you
hot,
can
Mike.
step
Hi, Charlotte. I love her. Is this a Shabbat dress? I love it. Good to see you all. What brings you out tonight? Yeah? Nice to see you. All right, let's start.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
We're on page 10.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom.
Change of plans. We should go into area and skip Yandy.
Okay. So we're going to just stay in that same opening song. The words mean how good it is to be together with another melody. And I know at least one student from our Shalom Corner preschool knows this melody. So you'll catch on. So we'll stay on page 10.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Repeat after us. How good it is,
How good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is,
How good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom. It is good to be together this evening to welcome in Shabbat. Welcome back, Rabbi Batya Illinois, leading us in music this evening. We hope you will join us in a song. Hopefully, if you read your weekly shofar email, you saw we're going to have a little bit of a different kind of service. In place of a Devar Torah or sermon, we're going to be dwelling a little bit longer in the opening part of our service called Kabbalat Shabbat, Welcoming Shabbat. So after we light our candles, we're going to be taking a look at some of the Psalms and singing them and having a brief discussion and learning around L'chadodi as well. So if so, this is all to say if the beginning of the service seems a little longer, don't worry, because it's then gonna kind of move a little quicker. So whatever brings you out this evening, whether you're looking for community, looking for a little rest and peace at the end of your week, we're glad you're here with us. Welcome to those on live stream as well. We're going to turn back to pages 2 and 3 as we bring in the light of Shabbat, and it is an honor to invite Becca and Charlotte Heyman to lead us in lighting our candles.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Asher Kidshanu B'mitzvotav V'tzivanu Lahadlik Ner Shel Shabbat. Technical difficulty. Trying not to burn the 4-year-old. There we go. We got it. All right.
All right, and you can stay up. We're going to sing as well.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik Shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, guys. All right. I might need to get my own sparkly Shabbat dress.
Me too.
So I want to invite you to turn now to page 12. And you'll see on page 12, in big Hebrew letters, Kabbalat Shabbat, welcoming Shabbat. And this whole section of our service is actually a later addition. So formally, our service starts with Baruch Hu and our call to prayer. But later on in Jewish history, so after the Torah, after the Bible, after the Talmud, the Kabbalists of Tzfat, northern Israel, created a whole additional liturgy to start our service and bring in Shabbat. Hopefully you received a handout on your way in. We're going to leave Lechadodi out for now, but if you want to just kind of look with me through the Psalms, you'll see that we have 5 Psalms in order of number, 95 through 99. And you can see kind of the first opening words of each one and just a brief theme that each one represents. So I'd invite you to just sort of glance through it. We then have Psalm 29. And then after Lechadodi, we have Psalm 92, which is specifically the psalm for Shabbat. Leaving off 93 for a moment, just wondering if anyone can do the math on this, how many before, and then again, leaving off 93, just 92. How many psalms do we have? It's not such a hard math problem. So we've got 5 before, 1 after, which gets to 6. So I'll just kind of walk you through a few of these overall themes of the Psalms, and then we're going to sing through a few excerpts from each of them. So a few themes, or if you think about it, is that because it's before our official call to prayer, the Psalms kind of give us a time to transition, to leave our week behind, to start to think about all of these themes of Shabbat, such as nature. And so we'll kind of see the recurring theme of oceans and trees, and kind of reminding us that when we stop creating on Shabbat, we can actually notice creation around us. We'll see the theme of just Shabbat in general, Shabbat as a special time or holy time. As the rabbi said, that Shabbat is a taste of the world to come, and we'll kind of see that the Psalms talk about a vision of a better world. So on Shabbat, we're reminded that things can be better in the week ahead. We'll see themes of rest. Again, six Psalms kind of relating to the 6 days of creation, with Shabbat being the 7th, the day of rest. And finally, we'll see themes of love and joy. And the Kabbalists were all about welcoming Shabbat with joy. So many of the melodies are joyful and upbeat. And if you were in more of a, let's say, Orthodox congregation, you'd actually sing through all of the Psalms fully. You'll see some are a little bit long. But we're just going to do kind of an excerpt from each one. And if you want to kind of hold on to this as your roadmap for the Psalms, we'll sing a bit, and again, then we'll talk a little bit more when we get to Lecha Dodi. So we'll begin on page 12. Again, the words mean, "Come, let us sing unto God."
Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, Iznirot naria lo. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, Iznirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai.
And we'll continue with Psalm 96, Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash, sing out to God a new song. We'll begin in the Hebrew, and you can also find some English words on page, on the back of your Siddur, page 344, and especially 344, especially this psalm reminds us to renew ourselves, to sing a new song every Shabbat.
Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash.
And we'll continue looking at page 14, Psalm 97. I'll just point out a refrain that is familiar to many of us at the bottom of the page. This psalm contains the words, Or zarua latzadik, uyishre lev simcha, light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. And another theme is kind of light and awakening Shabbat, awakening our souls. And I'll invite us to read the English of Psalm 98 before we sing a little bit more. So on page 16, we can read together, and again, we'll see many of these themes. Sing praise to Adonai with the lyre and melodious song, with trumpets and the blast of the horn. Raise a shout before Adonai, the ruler. Let the sea and all within it thunder, the world and its inhabitants. Let the rivers clap their hands, the mountains sing joyously together at the presence of Adonai. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly and its people with equity. So you can see the Kabbalists, when they put together this kind of poetry of Psalms, they were probably the first mindfulness folks before we kind of took that term today. But again, the whole point is some mindfulness to think about our world and to focus on what is good. So we'll continue singing, again, just an excerpt of Psalm 99, the very last 3 lines of the Hebrew, again, words that speak to God's holiness and mountains.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו.
So we've sung or read those first 4 Psalms, or first 5 that get us now to Psalm 29, which specifically is attributed to David. And again, themes of God's strength and love. And Batya is going to teach us a melody for just the last 2 lines of this psalm. So you can find it on page 19. May God give strength to God's people. May God bestow goodness on all of us.
Adonai os le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo. Adonai os le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo. Adonai os le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo. Second part. Vashalom, 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 vashalom. Let's start from the beginning. Adonai os le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo. Adonai os le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo. Vashalom, vashalom.
So even though the words of the Psalms, of course, are thousands of years old from the Bible, we still have new melodies being composed to all these Psalms, which are meant to be sung. And again, some melodies include all the full Hebrew of each Psalm. You can kind of get a sense of how dwelling on these Psalms can kind of bring us into the Shabbat spirit. So this brings us to Lechat Odi on page 20. And the Kabbalists had a story that they like to tell, that Shabbat came before God very sad, Because, as the story goes, Shabbat said to God, every other day of the week has a partner. Sunday has Monday, Tuesday has Wednesday, Thursday has Friday, and I, Shabbat, am all alone. And Shabbat did not think that that was very fair. So God decided, according to the story, to find the best, the most fitting, the most beautiful partner for Shabbat. And God said to Shabbat, the people of Israel, the Jewish community, will be your partner. And then Shabbat did not feel alone again. But according to the story, we, the people, had to fulfill that obligation, because if we forgot about Shabbat, then Shabbat was going to be lonely again. But if we do our part to welcome in Shabbat, then Shabbat would be happy and blessed. So the thing is, all of these Kabbalists, you probably does not come as a surprise, were male rabbis. So when they envisioned, so if they were thinking of themselves as the people of Israel, when they thought of the most beautiful, the best kind of image of a partner, they of course came up with the image of the bride, or Kala. So if they were thinking themselves as the people of Israel as the groom, they kind of wrote this whole vision of acting out a wedding every Friday night. And the Kabbalists would go outside to the field to bring in the bride of Shabbat. And they would wear white. And nowadays, in our kind of more equal language today, it's maybe a little bit harder to envision Shabbat as a bride, but in their minds, this all kind of made sense. And so if you look at Lecha Dodi, again, pages 20 and 21, you'll see, and our Siddur, of course, numbers the verses, so you'll see that all of the verses lead up to the last verse, which is number 9. Enter in peace, O crown of your husband. Enter in gladness. Enter in joy. Come to the people that keeps its faith. Enter, O bride. Enter, O bride. Boi chala, boi chala. So all of the verses lead up to literally welcoming in the bride of Shabbat, also sometimes known as the queen. And actually, some of our Shalom Corner students know that sometimes on Friday morning we even wear a crown to remind us of this. So this specific prayer was composed in the 16th century, so it's not biblical. And I'm just going to show you a little secret here. So the author of, and it's really a poem, the author of this prayer put his name into the verses. So here's how it works. So his name, the composer of Lecha Dodi, and you can actually read the note on the bottom, Shlomo Halevi Alkabetz. So this works a little bit better in the Hebrew, but you can also look in the transliteration. If you look at the first letter of each verse, so you've got Shin, Lamed, Mem, Hey, or if you're just looking at the sound, you look in the transliteration as well. You've got Shlomo. Okay, go up, bump up to verse 5 on the top of page 21. You've got a Hey, a Lamed, a Vav, and a Yud. So Ha-Levi, and then again the last one is Boi Kala, so the bride. So he put in Shlomo Halevi, his own name, into the poem. Did anyone know this? All these years singing Lecha Dodi. So, and even if you glance at the English, this is very poetic Hebrew here. Lots of different imagery, Shabbat as a fountain of blessing, so it's customary to actually switch melodies, and Cantor Louise Treitman taught this here a few years ago. So to switch melodies at verse 6, and if you look at the English, verse 6 says that we as a people, we're going to end our degradation, we're going to come back together renewed, and so the melody kind of shifts there as a recognition of that shift in message. So we're going to do that tonight. Now in Reformed synagogues and here, we tend to not sing all the verses, but we're going to give it a try and sing everything with the verse switch. But before we sing, I just wanted to pause if anyone had any questions or or comments about this whole Kabbalat Shabbat section or Lecha Dodi specifically? Right, the turning toward the door. So as I said, the Kabbalists would actually physically go outside to at the Boi Kala to welcome in the bride. So during our outdoor services, we kind of face the trees. And so here, when you're inside, it's customary to face the doors as we are symbolically kind of bringing Shabbat in and welcoming Shabbat. And some people do kind of a little bow on the Boi Kala, kind of each side, again, just sort of the motion of bringing Shabbat in to our space and into ourselves. Great question. Other things you've wanted to know about Lecha Dodi or this whole section? Nancy? Yes. Yes, so in most, certainly all Orthodox congregations, you would sing everything, some conservative as well. So yeah, it's kind of a modern shortening of things because in our modern times, we've taken on busy lives and we just tend to shorten some of the liturgy. Yes, So on my way here, I was thinking to myself, someone is going to ask the question, why 1, 2, 5, and 9? And I thought if David Wang was here, it was going to be him. But I'm glad you asked. So in most Reformed synagogues, we sing 1, 2, 5, and 9. So I can't tell you like when that happened or who made the call, but my best guess is that it had to do with the authors or editors of the Blue Gates of Prayer books. So for those of you who grew up in Reformed synagogues, before there was Mishkan Tefillah, and actually in between the blue, there was a short period of time with a gray Gates of Prayer. I like to call it Gates of Gray, but that was always meant to be an interim book. So before that, for many years, several decades, we had Gates of Prayer, which was a blue book, and the editors of Gates of Prayer put together the prayer book much differently than Mishkan Tefillah. Because if you remember, you actually had 10 options for the Friday night service. The morning had a little bit less, but there were actually 10 different Friday night services, and the first one had all of the verses of Lecha Dodi. So this kind of first official like American Reformed Siddur wanted to give people options. And so the first service had the fullest liturgy, and it shortened from there on. So service 10, it was like Shema and, go get a cookie. So I know as a kid, I was always like, let's do service 10. But anyway, so it's shortened. So the first service that shortened Lecha Dodi had verses 1, 2, 5, and 9 only. And then Gates of Gray, which was a much abridged, went with those verses. So we can see Mishkan Tefillah put them all back, but I think most Reformed synagogues, because that's what people knew for all those years, most clergy just kind of stuck with that. The reasons for it is if you look at the English, again, verse 1 speaks about Shabbat itself, the 2 commandments. Verse 2 also, Shabbat as blessing. Some of the other verses were a little bit maybe more challenging in the modern Reform mindset, kind of thinking back to King David. So again, verse 5, waking up light, there's nothing theologically challenging about that. And then of course, 9 being the bride. So, some of the other verses around, again, thinking more of destruction or, more kind of a harder imagery, I think it makes sense why the Reform editors chose that. So anyway, you answered my question. Is someone going to ask that? Any other thoughts, questions, Lecha Dodi, before we sing? Of course, there are so many melodies composed to Lecha Dodi because it is meant to be sung. So Batya chose our melodies for tonight. And we get to do 2.
Did you say we're doing all of them? Yeah, okay. Lecha Dodi likrat kala V'nei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם תפארת ותהילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי מתוך אפיך, רב לך שבט בעמק הבכר, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בידי תיבת חמי, עיד בן ישי ביתה לך לי, קרבה אל נפשי גאלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, התעוררי, התעוררי, כי האורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, ינלה ינלה ינלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, ינלה ינלה ינלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לא תבושי ולא תקמי, מה תשכחי ומה תהמי, בך יחסו אני עמי, ונבנתה עיר אל תילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, ינלה ינלה ינלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, ינלה ינלה ינלה, פני שבת נקבלה, והיו לשיסה שוסייך, ורחקו כל מבלה, עלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כי סוס חתן הקלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, ינני, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ינני, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי. יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ינלי, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ינלי, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גן בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת נקבלה.
We did it. If it wasn't so cold out, I was going to suggest we actually go outside. So we're going to conclude this whole warm-up on page 22. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you about Psalm 93 as well. But we end this section with the Psalm for Shabbat, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, page 22.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות. עלה עזוב עלי נבל, עלי היגיון וכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
So I don't know the full reason how Psalm 93 got added, but like most things in our Siddur, like the Amidah, which we're going to learn about next week, over time, the composers like to add on. So it was most likely a later addition, clearly consecutive to Psalm 92. And if you glance at the English, it affirms that creation is complete and God is eternal. So after welcoming in Shabbat, singing the Psalm for Shabbat, we can now sit back and rest as creation is complete. Before we move into our call to prayer, I just want to draw your attention on the bottom of page 25, words from this week's Torah portion, Vayetze, about Jacob's dream, and the Kabbalists were all about bringing God and bringing awareness into our lives. That's the actual physical welcoming in, going outside. So just like the Kabbalists, or certainly before the Kabbalists, our patriarch Jacob had a dream, dreamt that angels were going up and down a ladder, and Jacob woke up from his dream and said these words, "Truly Adonai is in this place, and I did not know it. He was awestruck and said, "How awe-inspiring is this place? This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven." So words from our Torah portion that also remind us to bring God into our lives, to open our minds to our world around us. We'll move right into our call to prayer, page 28.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
And we can read together on the top of page 31 our blessing for creation. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. We'll continue on page 34 as we proclaim God's oneness and unity, Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated. Continue on page 36 with these words from Torah.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochvecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, Adonai Elohechem Emet.
We'll continue on page 40, linking our story of leaving Egypt to our own day. We sing our song of the sea, Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh, machutotecha ra'u לפני משה ומרים, זעלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גא ישראל.
We'll continue on page 42 with our prayer for the evening. Usually Kabbalat Shabbat, when you're not in New England, is said while the sun is still out a little bit, but by the time you reach Hashkivenu, the sun has set, as it is our prayer for bringing on the evening and waking up to a new day. We'll sing a bit in Hebrew and in English.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, ve'hamidenu mamrenu lechaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us daily wrong from right, Adonai. Amen. 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 Amen.
That also means it's almost bedtime. Let's read together on page 44 again words that repeat the theme of the Chadodi, reminding us of the covenant of Shabbat, our obligation to bring in Shabbat each week. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. We rise now for our Amidah, page 46. And again, we begin with opening words, helping us to find the words in which to pray.
Adonai sefatai tiftach, ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai sefatai tiftach, ufi agid declare your praise.
Baruch
Atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Koneh Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imaot, U'mevii Geula livnei v'neihem, Leman Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen. Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atarav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofech cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha b'gevurot, Umito melech, Melech lilit umechayek, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei ha'akol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kdoshim b'chol yom ya'alelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, HaKadosh.
I invite you to continue silently with either the words on the page or a moment to offer the prayers from our hearts, and feel free to be seated when you're ready. Come back together on page 60 for our prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, shalom tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam.
We'll turn now to our prayer for healing on page 253 as we take this time in our service to pray for loved ones who are ill in body, in spirit, in mind, as we think of them and also send strength to all who care for them. We are especially praying for these members of our community: Colin Monroe, Enrico Mascaro, Benjamin Horowitz, Bradley Dichter, Mateo Goldman, Toby Weiner, Esya Rushovskaya, Eileen Arnone, Jean Sands, Joseph Sands, Roseanne Cohen, Tom Fiorino, Carolyn Weil, Stephen Driscoll, Jerry Spingarn, Caroline Spingarn, Beth Gottlieb, Kirby Druffel, Gloria Weller, Carol Kotler, Myrna Offen, Arnold Offen, Daniel, son of Elizabeth, Ruth Brofsky, Richard Slifka, and Liana Brodsky. If there are other names that you are thinking of, you may share them with our community.
Mi shebeirach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Can continue to celebrate Shabbat tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with our Leyland Minyan here at Temple and on Zoom. And if you would really like, you can join me and our 6th grade class and parents and Ariana and Rabbi Micah and our rabbinic intern Ashira. And since you missed yours, you can come too. And we are heading to Hale Education in the pouring rain tomorrow for our pre-B'nai Mitzvah day-long Shabbat retreat. Wish us well.
You can also come back to Temple tomorrow evening for a fun night of trivia hosted by Brotherhood and Sisterhood. So lots of details in your email. I'm pretty sure if you haven't signed up, you can still come. Yes? Okay. So trivia night. And we've got Sunday Sandwich Chevra here at 10:30 a.m. this Sunday morning, our SSH. If anyone does have time on their hands, we are looking for someone to make the delivery to the homeless shelter in Brockton, approximately around 11:30. Let me know. And lots going on. Adult B'nai Mitzvah class, Reader Shofar. I mentioned last week we are inviting many musical guests for Shabbat evening. So cantoral soloist Lisa Marcus Jones will be with us next week on both guitar and piano. She's very talented, and vocals, of course, followed by Cantor Louise Treitman, along with Rich Lustig, and a whole ensemble of choir and viola da gamba singing Italian composers and just amazing music, which is in 2 weeks. Rabbi Micah will be back for Hanukkah, and then Rabbi Zub is giving me a Shabbat off for the last Shabbat of 2022. So check your email for more Shabbat information and other programming to come. And I want to just offer a thank you to the anonymous donor for our oneg tonight. So you probably saw we did put out the opportunity throughout the year to sponsor an oneg in honor of a loved one, in memory of a loved one. We'd love to acknowledge you, or you can do it anonymously. So thank you for supporting our community, and Bonnie for ushering and greeting, and I believe Jackie as well. So again, takes many volunteers to help us out and keep our community safe and welcoming place to be. So thank you. We're going to move into our concluding prayers, page 282. If you're able, we rise for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל עמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, היום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We remain standing as we take this moment to remember loved ones who are no longer with us, and think of the ways they continue to bless our lives with their memory. We are especially remembering these loved ones who've passed away in recent weeks in our community. Helene Dratch, mother of Lori Minsky and mother-in-law of Gary Minsky. Deborah Booker, sister of Lucinda Davis and sister-in-law of Fred Davis. And we are remembering these loved ones whose yahrzeit, whose anniversary of death occur this Shabbat. Salvatore Aceta, Morton Bornstein, Leona Cohen, Julius Epstein, Libby Greenberg, Norma Harrow, Stephen Kravitz, Ruth London, Stanley Sherman, Abraham Slifka, Celia Wilson. If there are other names you're remembering, you may share them with us. We join on page 294 for Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach irute v'yamlich malchute. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'gala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabba mevorach le'olam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. You can keep your finger there for those last words. We're going to jump back to page 5 as we join in the blessings of Kiddush and Motzi. And in case you're not aware, for Motzi, we always invite up any kids who've not yet become bar and bat mitzvah. So get ready, and we'll, Bacha, will you do the honors of leading us? Page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho ve'ahava u'beratzon inechilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'ratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh Hashat Amen. L'chaim. I just want to thank Rabbi Bacha Illinois again for joining us. It's always such a pleasure Pleasure to be
have
with
you
you
back.
all.
And yes, more to come in the next year. And next Friday, if you ever wondered why there's the much shortened version of the beginning of the Amidah, I don't know if anyone noticed this, it's the one-page version, why we don't do it, come back next week, and we're going to be focusing on the second half of the service. All right, anyone who's not yet become B'nai Mitzvah, you can come up and get the first bite of challah. All right. Oh, we're still wrapped. All right, you can wrap. All right. And we already did this morning, but we're going to do it again. Here we go. All right. Here, you guys can come up. Yeah. Yeah, you guys can come up. Okay. Here, come up. We're going to face everyone. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. Here we go. All right, ready? Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lachem min haaretz Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Would you like some real challah? All right, you can eat that one. All right, Shabbat Shalom. We will bring that outside. Our oneg is in our Rosen Social Hall, and we are going to conclude with words of peace. Oseh Shalom. All right, you guys go back. All right, Bach, are you singing? Here, I get to.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Say shalom b'roma. Ase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshei tevel ve'imru amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.